Oh, what you got, Ed?
Another perch.
Another perch?
Need your net. Hit me literally.
Oh, okay. That's it. Keep the pressure on. Oh.
Missed it.
No.
No.
You're going to have to come in further, mate. I can't see him behind the weeds.
There you
go. Oh, he's not a monster.
No, he's not as big as the last
I
one.
thought he was a giant. He's giving you a good pull.
Yeah, literally hit me just under there. That's why I'm on such a short
It's
line.
on lovely fish on that Ned Minnow, though, isn't he?
Yeah, that's it. We're starting to get a bit of action now.
We swapped you over to that, and well, it's come out in the net with a load of leaves.
Nice little fish.
There we go.
We're catching well on these creature baits today, aren't we?
Well, you're not on the creature bait anymore, Ed. We've set you on the Savage Minnow. It's a shad.
Oh, it's a shad.
So we've gone over to an open hook setup, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, yeah.
So we've got it on a 7-gram jig head, so you can really pop it quite aggressively. And I think these fish are a little bit more fired up than we thought.
Yeah, definitely. And they're in a lot closer. We've been concentrating a lot on the far bank, and this was literally right under the rod tip. So, yeah, I might have to concentrate a little bit closer in now.
Yeah, I think there's some fish out in the channel today.
Awesome. Let's slip her back, shall we?
Yeah.
Excellent. So, Robbie, on the previous 2 videos we shot, we've had some nice perch on the crayfish and the salamander.
Yeah.
And now this one looks a lot more fish-like rather than a creature. So, talk us through this, Rig.
Well, essentially, it's a Ned head, so it's a flat jig head.
Okay.
With a small hook and a paddle tail shad. And the difference with this paddle tail shad is it's buoyant, made out of the same super tough material. It's a profile bait as well as a swimming bait. So you've got that paddle giving it a swimming action, but you've also got a really realistic profile. That little fin on the end there is going to make it look natural when it's standing there, and it's got a segmented body as well, which gives it a really good action if you want to side rig it and drop shot it, or use it with other techniques too. So
okay.
It's a very versatile shad. Cup mouth, so it fits on both Ned heads and ball jig heads. And this is going to be absolutely deadly for tempting perch when they're a little bit more active and on the hunt.
Okay, excellent. So, like the salamander and the cray, could we use them on this Ned setup, or is it all interchangeable?
Absolutely, all the rigs are interchangeable. So we could fish that sideways on a Texas rig, or we could fish it on a Cheb rig, or we could even drop shot that lure. Side rigged, it's going to be fantastic for drop shot. Like I say, it's got that much flap and movement in that segmented body.
Okay.
It's a really versatile lure, and they all are.
Yeah. So again, this is buoyant then, so it will sit up like that, and then we'll twitch it, and it will do that. Is that right?
Yeah. So it will sit bolt upright. Whether you want to do little bounces and let the lure tip and land, that's fine, or you can go for bigger swimming actions and pauses, and you can really sort of work the column with a lure like that and find out a little bit more about the venue and what levels the fish are sitting at. Ned jig head's very easy. Just going to cast that out. We're going to keep this a little bit further out from the structure because it's not weedless.
Okay.
Allow that to hit the bottom, and we can fish it slow with little twitches, just like we would the Ned. Long pauses, little twitches.
Just slightly longer pauses in between than what we've done with the other 2.
Also, before you leave a swim, you can try different bigger hops, a little swim and then a pause, and sort of cover the water with a little bit more aggression. And you can vary your retrieve a lot more on a lure this style and really find what the fish want. And it seems to me like those fish have followed in those lures and hit them right at your feet, sometimes off the bottom.
Right, okay.
In some of the other takes. So maybe switching over to this tactic will bring us a bigger active fish.
Be nice. I mean, you do owe me an ounce from the last video. Robbie's promised me a £2 this session, and we fell an ounce short with the salamander, didn't we?
It was close enough.
It was very close. It's still a PB for me, so I'm really happy.
All right, well, we'll keep working, and hopefully we'll get that magical £2 mark ticked off for you. How are you getting on, mate?
Just had a little knock then.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? How are you finding fishing with the Ned Minnow compared to the weedless setups?
It's a bit slower, and the jig head you've got on there, I think it's a 7 gram, whereas previously we've been using 5. So, does that make a difference? I'm guessing you use bigger jig heads if you're fishing still waters, or you're fishing a fast river, either casting or holding bottom. Is that right? Or?
Well, it's going to plant it down and probably reduce the intensity of the takes. At the same time, it's going to allow you to pop that lure with a bit more aggression and get a little bit more action into the lure.
Okay, so it does more than just a casting weight then, really?
Yeah. So
okay.
If you're fishing with a 3 gram, to get those small bounces, you'd have to move it so delicately, and you might not get the full action that lure's capable of. Whereas putting it on a heavier head, you can really pop it with a little bit of aggression, like you are, and then pause it, and it's totally zigzagging and working the water column and hopefully catching the attention of fish. So of course that's the downside to an open hook. You do catch the odd leaf and twig, but
yeah. No, that's quite interesting, Robbie, what you're saying about the heavier jig head. I mean, I just thought you just had one to hand in your tackle box and that's what you put on, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense now that heavier jig head's gonna pop and drop a lot quicker. So, oh, that was a snag. So yeah, I am picking up a few leaves and bits of debris on the bottom, but I do feel a lot more confident of hooking fish with that open hook. You know, to me, it's almost like you know, the hair rig compared to the side-up potato sort of thing.
Well, sometimes,
you know, if someone's going to smash into it, they're going to have a better chance of hooking up.
Absolutely. Well, sometimes you find with perch, they respond better to a bit of aggression. You can put something really slow past them, they can stare at it. As soon as you speed it up and stop it, they'll hit it. So we're just appealing to that chasing instinct in the perch with something like a shad on a heavier jig head.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot. Well, these leaves are doing me in. There's so many. Look at the back of I think somebody's opened a lock down here and all these leaves have just floated right in front of me. So I'm picking a few of these up. I think there's a lot of baitfish down here, which is a good sign. Just see loads of dimpling here.
Yep, and they're right at your feet as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen a few little chublets knocking around. Would chub take this rig?
Yeah, big chub would take that rig. They'll fall for soft plastics and Ned rigs quite commonly, especially in the colder months when they're lower in the water column.
Oh, so you could catch chub on any of these baits, these rigs that we've been using in this series of videos?
Yeah, they'd work for chub, pike, zander, and of course perch. Awesome. You can use like Ned rigging tactics and these sort of baits for any UK predatory species.
Yeah, it'd be nice to catch a zander. I've only ever caught them from Rutland, so this type of fishing for a zander would be a completely different thing. Ooh, got something spooked then, but it's probably just lifting this lure out.
Just your leaf.
Just my leaf. So yeah, I suppose it's just persevere, fight through the leaves and the debris. Hopefully something grabs hold of it. Well, talk us through this setup, Robbie. We've got the SGS4 rod that we was using for the previous two videos on the creature baits.
Yeah.
And this is a SGS4 2,500 size reel. So why a 2,500? Why not 1,000? Why not a 4,000?
Well, I've got 1,000 on my combo because it's a little light balanced combo, but that Finesse TNC Specialist SG4 is designed for fast shadding Texas and Carolina rigs, reedless wigging. Okay. So having that bigger spool capacity on the 2,500 just opens up a lot of options. You could take that combo to a river or still water and it would fish perfectly there as well.
Okay.
Now we've got you on 13-pound braid there, whereas I'm on 10 on mine, and your fluorocarbon is 10 pound, whereas I'm on 7.
Right, okay. So is that because your setup's a little bit lighter than mine, your rod's softer, so you can get away with lighter stuff?
Yeah, I can get away with lighter stuff. I mean, you think about a light lure rod and it's very difficult to put pressure to break 10-pound line through the rod.
Yeah.
So you can get away fishing light, and then on lighter combos you could go down to 6-pound braid and even lighter fluorocarbons, but for what we're doing, with a little bit of leeway, it's easier to just stay a little bit on the heavy side.
Okay. Does that affect bites? I know we use wire traces a lot for bite fishing. Do perch respond to a much lighter fluorocarbon?
On pressured waters they can, so on a small canal like this where they're seeing a bit of angling pressure, they can be quite line shy.
Right, okay.
A lot of guys would be fishing incredibly light for this sort of fishing, but we're fishing a little bit on the heavy side, but that's just to help you with the snags and the structure down there.
Yeah, there does seem to be a few snags in various places. Don't you worry about bite-offs from pike or anything like that?
If you're getting a lot of problems with big pike, then it's very easy to put on a finesse wire trace and fix that problem. But we've had a couple of very small pike this session, and on the weeders hooking, you generally hook them on the outside of the mouth.
Just on the scissors?
Yeah. So they're not a huge issue, but if I was getting a lot of pike, I'd definitely put a small wire trace on.
That was a great bit of action on the Ned Minnow.
Yeah, it was. We had loads of action on that.
Excellent. So what have we got planned for tomorrow then?
Well, I've got a real treat for you on the goby tube, mate. We're going to go after some zander.
Awesome. Let's do it.